Off the back of last Sunday's video where I talked you through my newfound love of Shannon Mustipher and this book, Tiki Modern Tropical Cocktails, I want to bring you another cocktail. And this week we're going to page 49 and I'm going to talk you through the Isla De Pina. Now, at a very quick first glance, I was attracted to this cocktail because my head went to Pina Colada. That's where the Pina, obviously, just putting two and two together, I made five. Because as you can see, this is nothing like a Pina Colada. But half the reason I wanted to attack this cocktail next is because last week, the recipe did include Pimento Dram. And I'm very conscious of people buying liqueurs and having different uses for them. And the Pimento Dram is one of them. It's not listed that often in cocktail recipes. So I thought, let's do two recipes on the bounce where you can use your allspice dram, your Pimento Dram, whatever you're going to buy, and kind of give it a different viewpoint. So let's crack on and make this cocktail. I'm going to show you how to make it. But then what I'm going to do at the end, this video goes off in a very different direction because I've already filmed it. I've already done the ending and gone through that. We've got a couple of experiments because I wanted to play about with the rums and I also wanted to flip up another little ingredient. Now, that's not saying this recipe is bad, but what these videos are about is, I don't know a better word, not debunking, but actually, I've had a couple of comments now, and even I said it on the first recipe. You know, Shannon does an excellent job of giving you ideas for rums, but they do come from a US viewpoint. And if you're UK, if you're Europe, even if you're Australia, even if you're kind of like, you know, other places around the world, a lot of the rums in the US we don't get. So half of what I do is translating and giving you other options, different rums that you could use. Actually, another one of those little experiments at the end is a complete swap out of one ingredient just to kind of see how it works. So without further ado, let's dive in. Question of the video? Actually, I think a few of you have got this book. If you've got a favourite recipe from this book so far, for those of you that have read it and have got it, let me know in the comments below and I'll look at it for doing it in the next video. So let me walk you through the recipe for this. Now, first off, Shannon does call for an aged white rum. She specifically calls for Diplomatico Planas. Now, I did have it. I don't have it anymore. Never restocked it. It's kind of like a blend of like 5, 6 younger rums in there as well. 5, 6-year-old rums, sorry. So young rums, obviously charcoal filtered, but it does give you kind of like a vanilla-y note to it. Now, out of all the white rums I've got, unaged rums, white rums, whatever you want to call them, aged white rums, however the category wants to be classified, I think the one that gives me the most vanilla that I currently have is the Planteray. The other option would have been like the El Dorado 3-year-old, but then for me, I do get notes of sort of chocolate and coffee, which I don't necessarily get off that Diplomatico Planas. So for me, the Planteray 3 stars is an obvious shout for that. But if you've got Diplo Planas, if you've got any other white rum suggestions that give you that vanilla-y note, then again, let me know in the comments below. Let everyone else know in the comments below. Now, if memory serves me right, I think Diplo is 47% ABV. This is 41.2. So yes, we are going for a little bit of ABV difference, but we're still going for 60ml. I don't think you need to bump it up anymore. We shall see. So I'm going for a 60ml, 2 ounces of the Planteray 3 stars. Now, I think if you are going sort of tiki rum cocktails, I think this is one of the liqueurs that you do need in a modern day. This is the Giffard Caribbean Pineapple. It's superb. I've had 5, 6 bottles of this over the last couple of years. I flipping love it and adore it. There's no real competitor to it. From my knowledge, there's no other sort of pineapple liqueur that I know of on the market, but this is absolutely banging. I think the Giffard, the posh Giffards are really, really tough to beat. So we're going for 15ml, half an ounce of the Caribbean pineapple liqueur. The Pimento Dram follows on from last week as well. So that was in last week's cocktail. So we're going for 7.5ml of Pimento Dram, 15ml, half an ounce of lime juice. And then we're going for 15ml, half an ounce of passion fruit puree. Now, full disclosure, that's what I use. I have it here all the time because it's what I use in my cocktail masterclasses. I've got pouches and pouches of this. The way I teach cocktails, the way the recipes work for cocktail masterclasses, and you know, the ethos behind how I deliver a cocktail masterclass. This is pretty much the only brand that I would use for that. I'm not saying it's the best brand. It's just the way I teach cocktails. Okay, so I don't go the 50-50 route like the ODK, like the Real, like the Mon Le Fruit. I go the 100%. That's kind of what I teach when I do my cocktail masterclasses out in the wild. So that's what we've got. I've always got stocks of that, pouches and pouches of it sitting there. But we want 15 ml, half an ounce. This is effectively as near as damn it you'll get to 100% passion fruit puree. In the UK, we have got Bristol syrups now. We've got Boiron, there's Mixology, there's one more that I'm kind of missing. ODK, I do a pouched version of this. They're all pretty much 90% fruit. Just some brands do it slightly differently. This is cut back with 10% sugar, okay, so to make it long life and shelf stable. I'm not going to name Shannon because I kind of work with all brands in there and I kind of love what they're about. However, some brands cut back with grape juice. Now that grape juice for me does alter the taste. So for me, when it comes to 100%, the Funkin is really tough to beat when it comes to passion fruit puree. However, if you're feeling flush and you've got them, just get loads and loads of passion fruits and you probably want the pulp of what, maybe 3-4 passion fruits, you know, to do a couple of cocktails like this. And we just want a good scoop of crushed ice and then we're just going to put it on the mixer, 5, 6, 7 seconds. Now Shannon does call for a coupe glass. I've got mine in the freezer. I've given it a strawberry, like a Frona, my fruits that I work with, a strawberry kind of sugar rim on there. And we're just going to single strain that into our coupe glass. And I never know really how to garnish like martini and coupe glasses, you know, unless you're kind of doing on the side there or pegging like a piece of fruit. They all look pretty weird, or like a little kebab across the top. She calls for pineapple fronds, so I'm going to do that and I'm just going to layer them in like that. Today's video is sponsored by my own free ebook. It's packed full of rum knowledge and information, plus recipes and tips that help you easily make some awesome cocktails at home. If you haven't grabbed the latest edition, then make sure you click the link in the description below. Or if you're watching on TV or desktop, then you can scan the QR code that's popping up on screen right now. Right, let's get back to the video. Now, first impressions of this cocktail. Is it a winner? No. I think, and I haven't read this book completely, I think there might be a hack for the passion fruit puree at the end there. I've just taken that at face value and perhaps not what Smuggler's Cove do, for instance, like Martin Kate does and blends that with sugar. This is dramatically lacking some balance and some sweetness. Just tasting now, I really do think even 7.5 ml, maybe 10 ml, but 7.5 ml of sugar syrup in there dramatically changes that cocktail. And I am going to do that in a minute because at the moment that is just too tart, no sweetness, citrus forward. Honestly, it's a little bit flat. Now, I've just taken a couple of minutes to actually go and look at the back part of this book because I know she does break down some of the ingredients on here. Now, there's the distinction. In the actual recipe, she does list passion fruit puree. In the back is all about syrups, and there is no passion fruit syrup. There's a honeyed passion fruit syrup, but there is no passion fruit puree or passion fruit syrup in there. So I'm taking her at her word, knowing roughly the brands that are available in the US, unless she's working with something like Real, which call themselves a puree, even though they're a kind of a syrup. And that's just sort of coming to me now. There is potential she is working with the brands like Real, which are actually like 40% fruit and 60% sugar. And they call themselves infused puree syrups or infused syrup puree, whichever way around. And I do love Real, but that would be a dramatically different cocktail to what the Funkin, to what this stuff makes. So I am going out on a hunch here, and I'm going to say that she does use a sweetened passion fruit puree. And knowing what's available in the US, my hunch would be Real. Right, so let's go for take two. I've just literally dumped that back in there with some fresh crushed ice so we don't get too much extra dilution. And I've just used 7.5 ml of the Monin cane sugar syrup in there. All right, so same cocktail, just with an addition of 7.5 ml of sugar. Dramatically different. Still not sweet. Some of you are going to go 10 ml. Some of you might even go 15 ml. Remember, as I've said, if that hunch is correct, if it is Real, Real is 40% passion fruit to I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I haven't looked at a bottle for ages, but 40% passion fruit, 60% sugar. So even then, in a 15 ml, what is it? 15 ml of passion fruit puree, you can loosely assume that 5 or 6 ml of that is passion fruit, and 9 to 10 ml of that is sugar. So even there, with my 7.5 ml, I've probably still not got the balance, the ratio right for a Real. But this has dramatically improved it. So much so that that now takes it from a 3 or a 4 out of 10 to a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It's still something lacking for me. I'm going to do another riff on this in a second, but it's still something lacking. So let's do what I like doing, and the purpose of these videos is kind of breaking this down, because even in the last video, I've had a few comments now from people saying, like, even in this book, Shannon is too specific with the rums. And if you are new to rum and you've got this book, you don't kind of know where to go. And that's what the purpose of these videos are. It's not kind of debunking those cocktails, it's actually bringing them round to mass marketing to kind of give you that. So let's start with the rum. Look, I do think that is a good shout. Is it the best shout? Possibly. It possibly is. But there are two alternatives in my mind that I probably would go to for a UK market. US, again, you've got other brands, you can do other things, but from the UK point of view, and this will actually translate to US first and foremost, the one I'm going for is Veritas, which translates to Probitas to you guys in the US. I think that would be a great shout. And you want something with a little bit of kind of body to it, a little bit of fun, a little bit of, you know, not just, I don't think you want a Spanish origin. I don't think you want a Don Q. I don't think you want a Cuban. I don't think you want a Puerto Rican. I don't think you want Chairman's Reserve. You do kind of want a little bit of rum that punches out. The other way to go from this would actually be go to a slightly aged rum, a rum that does give you vanilla and not been filtered, essentially. So the other way you could go, if it's right here, actually, I'm thinking on my feet, and I'm going to have a little swerve here, because I think the two dark rums would be fantastic in this. So Bounty and Planteray OD Original Dark. But the one that I said, you don't want to go Cuban or Puerto Rican, but thinking on my feet, thinking of these vanilla notes, do you know what? I don't think that's a bad shout, actually. The Bacardi 4-year-old, or the Don Q Gold, wherever it is. I think the Don Q Gold is somewhere, wherever it is. I've got bottles everywhere behind here. The Don Q Gold and the Bacardi 4 could be fantastic shouts in this cocktail. Basically, do you know what? I might do two riffs on this in a second. I might put the Veritas up against the Bacardi 4-year-old and a straight there. I was going in a different direction. I still might talk myself into it, but I think those two rums can actually change this cocktail. Other ingredients to debunk? Well, I don't think there's much place to go, to be honest. This, as I said, when I was making a cocktail, I don't think there is another player to this. I really don't. I cannot think of a worldwide available pineapple liqueur. There must be. Brie might do one. There might be some of the other brands, but in the UK, I think this pretty much nails it. But my point is, I don't go searching for another pineapple liqueur, because this is flipping phenomenal. Giffard is, to my mind, still one of the best, if not in the top, like holds that mantle with two other brands of the best liqueurs that you'll buy. I still, even though, you know, I've done that, the a couple of cocktails ago, the Tempest Fugit Banana versus the Giffard Banana, and the Tempest Fugit did actually make a better cocktail. At face value, on just drinking, you know, just there, that just tastes banana all day long for me. I flipping love that as a banana liqueur. And it's just weird how that Tempest Fugit works, but you know what? For an authentic banana, you ain't going to beat that. You really aren't. Anyway, this cocktail was about pineapple, and you ain't beating that, and you ain't having... If there are other pineapple brands, let me know in the comments below. I generally can't think of one other than Puree, and even then I don't think they do. We discussed the Pimento Dram in the last cocktail, and there was a few others. Hamilton apparently have one in the US. Apparently there is another one in Washington, I think it was, whoever commented that. I'm really sorry, I should have taken note of your name. But there's various other Pimento Drams in the US, but St. Elizabeth or St. Elizabeth, I think it is, and Hamilton obviously are going to be the big two. But here in the UK and mainland Europe, you are talking Bitter Truth Pimento Dram. Now, the other direction I was going to go in, simply because I've just filmed it and used it in, so it'd be the preceding video to this one, is that Fashionola. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but Fashionola, you know, is a passion fruit and red fruit syrup, and I do get a lot of passion fruit forward of that. And actually drinking that, it does sort of, you know, I kind of want to do 2 or 3 versions of this cocktail. I really do. But as I've just said, I think I'm going to put my reputation on the line here and back myself that Shannon is using Real or an equivalent sort of 50-50 fruit to sugar blend out there. I don't think she's made that cocktail. I really don't think she's made that cocktail with just like a 90 to 100% fruit forward passion fruit puree. It definitely needs some form of sweetness, definitely. So you guys know that I do love an experiment. I haven't done one properly for a long time, a few months now, but we've done one today because I'm kind of intrigued by this. So basically what I've done for these two is just, so I've put Veritas for the UK and European market, Probitas for the US guys. I put that head to head for Bacardi 4-year-old. Remember, I said the vanilla notes, that's why that's here. Diploplanas gives you very big vanilla notes. So does the Bacardi 4-year-old, to be fair. So does the Don Q Gold. It gives you those notes. So these two cocktails are as near as damn it identical to that. I'm just going now on the ethos that Shannon has used a brand like Real. So we've got essentially a 50-50 blend of sugar to passion fruit. So that's what I've made. These two now are dramatically better than that. Bearing in mind that I still did 15 ml and 7.5, 15 ml of puree and 7.5 ml. So it wasn't 50-50. That 50-50 blend of passion fruit to sugar is dramatically better. Which one is better out of the two? They are different cocktails. You know, the Bacardi is very different to the Veritas, Probitas, but I like them both. I think if I was going to call it, I think I'd probably go for the Veritas, I think. It's just something, it's just, that is just perfect for me. Absolutely perfect. That is now a 9.5 out of 10. It really is. It's well balanced. You've got the pineapple that really comes through now because of the sugars there. The rum really shines through because it's a little bit of a bump in ABV. I think that's the better cocktail. That is Bacardi. Gives me a different vibe because it now does give me those aged vibes. Even though there's rums in here that are slightly older than what that is. That's tough. That is tough to split them. They're very different, but I'm going on the Probitas Veritas. I think that is the standout cocktail now for there. Now, these red ones, what I did from the previous video, I wanted to try the Fashionola in it. Now, without going down the realms of like playing with this even more, it's just a little bit too tart. You know, I just did, so I did the 15 ml of the passion fruit puree is there, and I did 15 ml of the Fashionola syrup. They're lovely cocktails. They're not as good as the original, the OG. These are like 7.5s out of 10s. That's like a 9.5. That's probably an 8.5 to 9. So the original cocktail, I am proclaiming that it should be a 50-50 blend roughly of passion fruit to sugar in Shannon's recipe. I will put that below. Is there anything else I would do to this? The only way I can describe this, and it's a pro and a con. The pro is that it's really flipping tasty and you are going to sell a lot of it. The con is, for a tiki point of view, it's probably not as in-depth as you want. You probably want an extra layer of some form of bitters in there. Now, I don't think Angostura bitters, I don't think that's going to do it justice. I don't know. Mate, it's just, I'm going to have a think on the bitters. I might put it in a comment below. I might have another play and put it in the comment below now. I'm not sure about the bitters. I just think it, from a tiki point of view, it just needs an extra layer to it. maybe a 2-rum blend. That might be a way to go. Here's the thing, here's a question for you, feedback. Let's finish the video here. Your feedback, if you were gonna riff this cocktail up now, if you've tried it, what would you do to it? How would you take it in a different dimension? I think it might need bitters. It might be a 2-rum blend. It might be a bit of agricole in there, a little bit of extra funk. I'm not overly convinced. I just think it needs something, a little bit of extra body. That's where I'm leaving it. But at face value, I really do like this cocktail as long as you do a 50-50 blend of sugar to passion fruit to create your passion fruit puree. Oh, wow, today's been a good filming day. Some really good cocktails. Time to edit. I'll see you next time.